Yeah, the next time someone passes you a capsize, you just have to be like, you're out, just go home.
Quit magic.
Pauper to the People is brought to you by MTG Madness. You can visit them online at mtgmadness.com. And while you're there, you can use the promo code MTGMAD to get 25% off every purchase, valid now through August 31st. This is Pauper to the People, episode 123, take two. Take two. My name is Chris, and with me is Nate.
Hello.
And special guest from Tap Sac Podcast is Houston.
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
It's going.
Excellent.
Should I also record?
Just in case.
Normally, I'm the one that offers to do that, but it's like every 60 episodes or so, something goes horribly wrong. So I guess if you feel that you need to do that, I'm not going to turn it down.
We get a lost episode.
Yeah, maybe if everyone just crosses their fingers and cries jinx, maybe nothing will happen.
I'm a man, I don't cry.
All right, fair enough. So, man, I have to do all this news again. Let's see.
Me.
Yeah, it's true.
Preach to me, Chris.
First, the big news. Next week, I gave my 2 weeks notice last week, so next week's going to be my last show.
Yep.
Boom, bombshell. Boom. So, man, and actually, having had another week to kind of think about what I was going to say made me think of some more stuff. But realistically, it's nothing bad. It's nothing, there's no fallout with the other hosts or anything like that. But basically what it comes down to is a time issue. And I really don't have the time to play enough that I feel like I'm of benefit to the show, if that makes any sense. And what I've seen happen, and it's an awesome thing, and it makes me feel really proud, is I've seen people who have episodes and episodes ago who have come to me and said, through Twitter or through email or whatever, and said, hey man, I got into Pauper because of you guys, which is really awesome. And I've seen those people move on and start producing content of their own, to the point where I honestly feel that they've surpassed me in the knowledge that I can bring to the table. And that's not a downer to me at all. That's a really positive thing. So I'm starting to feel like I'm kind of the one who in some ways is holding the show from being everything it can be. And that's literally because I just don't have the time. Married with 3 kids and a band and everything else that's going on, something had to give. And I think what's realistically giving is my ability to play 30 to 40 matches a week and have that analysis and hard data that I can bring to the table. So I've handed the show off to Nate, and I've stepped Peter up from intern to actually full-time real host, as opposed to all the jokes we've been constantly giving him. And I'm in the process of talking with some of the guys at MTGO Strat, seeing if maybe one of them wants to come in as a full-time third spot, that type of thing. So it's really, it's unfortunate, and it's sad that I won't be doing the show anymore, but I think it's kind of for the best as far as the show goes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Nate, do you want to add anything?
Chris Weaver needs to get a hold of us, like ASAP.
Yes. ASAP.
Chris, I know you listen to this. You need to get a hold of us ASAP.
So, I'm not planning on disappearing off the face of the earth. If anything, I think having less time to have to prep show notes and edit a show every week, that's time that I could actually use to start playing a little bit more Pauper again, and that type of thing. And also, if you've been following on MTG Cast, you'll notice that episode 1 of my new show, Playing for Cheaps, went live already, and that's a video game podcast, which is one of those things where, despite however busy the day was, I've always managed to have, one of the things I do at the end of the day is I just turn on, the computer or the Xbox or the PlayStation for an hour a night and play some video games. So that's just kind of what I'm taking over as far as casual being on a podcast goes. But I would like to, I didn't want to kill Pauper to the People, because I know it's I know people enjoy it. Man, Last week when I talked about this, it was much more emotional. Now this week I feel like I'm just like, yeah, I'm done. See ya. But it was it was a hard decision. It really was, and I just kind of feel it's for the best. And I know I'm leaving it in good hands with Nate and Peter. And from what they say, hopefully Chris Weaver can take that third spot. So, but that's the bombshell to start the show. So I wanted to make sure I got all that out of the way.
Input bomb sound.
Yeah, exactly. Just that type of thing. So yeah.
Well, on
now
that note.
Now that I killed momentum. And trust me, we had to deal with this last week. We're dealing with it again this week. Spoiler season starts next week for Theros block, and which is really crazy to me because it seems like we just got M14.
And I think they didn't want to make a big deal out of M14 to begin with. They're like, yep, here's some new cards and some reprinted ones. And hey, by the way, Theros is coming up.
Yep. Here's a Doombladed Uncommon, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, that was good for draft, though. That was really good
Yeah.
for draft because like it didn't even matter what color you were in; you always first picked it.
Yeah.
And so the mono red deck had it, the mono green deck had it, the green white black deck had one. Like two. Just everyone had it, so it was good that it was the uncommon that got stepped up. But
Yeah, and Mark Rosewater, someone had actually asked him a question about, hey, you're not throwing Pauper enough concessions. And he actually commented back on saying that, limited is kind of the bread and butter of the game, so that's kind of where most of the concessions are being thrown.
yeah, absolutely.
Which makes sense. So
I mean, they already
Yes.
have so many formats in mind. Like
Yeah.
adding another one to it's just a little extra stress. They have to support Commander and Legacy and Modern and Standard and Limited and and they have to make sure they don't fuck up any of those because people will rage. So adding Pauper to it may just be the last thing on their list, sadly. As much as it's hard to hear, and people are gonna hate me for that. I'm like, hey, I'm the guest Pauper. No, that's not it. But it's probably the last thing on their mind at the moment.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just writing down show notes because I have to
Yep.
edit out every time you drop an F-bomb.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. No
There's
cursing.
No, you can curse, just no F-bombs.
Yeah.
So
Oh. Okay.
or G-bombs or
Oh, I don't
F-bomb,
see.
or the other F-bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know me neither, but
Might
Can't
as
say-
well bring this up from last week.
okay.
Heroes versus Monsters deck lists are out.
All right, I was going to say something relevant to the other topic at hand. I think that it's unfortunate that that Pauper kind of doesn't really get the consideration that some other formats do with Magic, with Wizards of the Coast. But I think that kind of almost permeates the spirit of the format in the way where it's we're not going to be looked at as a serious format by Wizards sometimes, especially when they're designing new cards. We're not going to be the most lauded format in any of their articles, but there's a real community. We're going to do this ourselves because while Wizards isn't saying we hate you and we want you to go away, they're not actively supporting it the way they would the other formats that make them much more money. And I really appreciate the community members and everyone around who steps up and kind of takes that upon ourselves to make it almost some sort of underground type thing, which I've always appreciated about the format. So
Yeah.
Nothing wrong
I
with
see
that at
I
all.
see the positive in it. Yeah, we're the DIY punk format of the Magic community, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, bring up your Heroes versus Monsters thing again.
Yes, they have released and this is on the Magic the Gathering website. They've released the deck list for Heroes versus Monsters, the next dual deck. They're highlighting 6 new cards from Theros in this deck, so you can actually get 6 new cards from the new set before it actually comes out. Basically what we got here is a mythic Polychronos World Eater. It's a 4-drop 5/5 that has a new ability, Monstrosity X, which Basically, from the looks of it, it's like you put a bunch of 1/1 counters on it and becomes monstrous. Man, I guess when this guy becomes monstrous, it deals X damage divided any way you choose among any number of target creatures your opponents control. Basically, you make that one Hydra fight a whole bunch of creatures at once.
And then they do damage back to him.
And they do damage
he
back to
dies
him
because he's still a Hydra, and Hydras are never good in Magic.
No, but
sorry.
If you give this guy Death Touch, he is devastating.
Only you would think of doing that.
That's the douchey thing to do.
Yeah.
The guy that passed me the Colonia Hydra last week in the draft disagrees that the Hydras are bad.
I just keep thinking of that Hydra that was Mythic and M10, and then it became...
The X one?
Yeah, it was just like, this thing sucks.
No, that one's ridiculous.
No, that was 13. I never core set. I don't remember which one's which. Is it the one that doubles counters, or is that 13?
Yeah, no, he counters, and then every time he dies, he gets 2 1/1 counters if he doesn't die. So he takes 1 damage, a head disappears, and basically a 1/1 counter disappears, and it's replaced by 2 1/1 counters.
Yeah, I didn't play back then.
It was brutal.
It's just one every time he opened it, it's like, why wasn't this a Baneslayer Angel?
Yeah.
And then the other one is Annex and Stymied.
Yep.
Which is legendary creature, human soldier, first strike, vigilance, heroic, the other ability. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Annex and Stymied, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample until end of turn. So
basically a smaller version of what is it that card? +3 overrun, smaller version of overrun.
Yeah, it's like you pump him and everyone else gets a little. Excuse me, you pump him and her.
Yeah.
Her and
the couple.
she and he, the two of them.
I thought it was fake when I first saw it because of trample. I didn't like. Not that red can't have it. I just thought that someone made it up and it was like really good, and that it was supposed to be like vigilance or first strike along with like the couple or like lifelink or something. And trample just seemed really weird on the card for me.
Yeah.
But I guess it's fine.
And then our next two are Cavalry Pegasus. It's a 1 colorless, 1 white. Flying whenever Cavalry Pegasus attacks, each attacking human gains flying until end of turn. It is common, so it does kind of fit in with a white weenie theme.
Yes, it does.
Which, yeah, because white weenie needs more help. It's not annoying enough. Let's just make everyone use humans and just let everything fly. That sounds like fun.
That's great.
Don't get pissy.
Someone's bitter.
Yep. Somebody's just mad because they don't like white weenie.
It's just the lead out of all the decks, because we were playing at my EDH group together, and one of my friends they're getting into Magic, and he's got a whole bunch of commons from a friend. So he made a bunch of Pauper decks. And he wanted to try out a whole bunch of different Pauper decks from the format. So I'm sitting there dancing, or I'm playing like Green Stompy and Mono Black Rats, because I do have White Weenie in my box. And every time I'm playing something else, my buddy's like, why don't you play the White Sleeve deck? I'm like, I don't want to.
Wait, one sec. What's in your box?
Oh, and in my box I have all my Magic, all my Pauper decks.
Right, but what deck specifically is in your box?
What, the White Weenie box? The White Weenie deck?
Yep.
Yeah.
You have a white weenie and what?
I had you sick bastard. Anyway,
You're the sick bastard.
I know where he was going with it.
You tried hard to get around to it.
Yes, I did.
See,
but it didn't work.
This is going to be bad because without Peter here, who isn't feeling well, we should mention, there's no one to keep us in check.
Yeah.
And the flavor text of this one says, "It is hope, hooved and winged," but I like to think that they're saying it is hope, hooved and winged. Because I think that fits better. Anyway,
better.
But my friend is like, hey, because in that box, all the decks have the right color sleeves for whatever the deck is. And he's like, play the white sleeve deck. I'm like, I don't want to. He's like, but it's the one deck you haven't played me against, so testing my decks. I'm like, but I don't want to play it. And he's like, well, what is it? I'm like, it's White Weenie, and I hate the deck. He's like, well, play it anyway. I'm like, well, so I was forced to play this stupid deck. I hate the deck so bad. It's like the one deck in my box that never gets played by me because I hate the deck.
Well, just keep it at home.
I know I like having it on hand though, because when we go to Pauper tournaments, and there's always that player that doesn't really they're a beginner, they don't know much about Magic, but they know the basics of attacking. It's just an easy deck for them to pick up and play that doesn't require much.
I'm sure you could build something that's straightforward that won't make you cry every time you see it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not, Pauper to the People as an entity isn't saying that White Weenie sucks, bad players play, it's nothing like that, which apparently we'd been called out for in the past.
It's just each of us preferring just not liking certain decks, because I'm like, I'm not even gonna kid the fact that I'm not a huge fan of White Weenie. It's just, to me, I mean, I'm not saying it's not a good deck, it's just, for me, I like something a little bit more that I have to think about than just laying creatures and turning them sideways.
See, and I prefer to think less, which is why I play Green Stompy. Turn pump. So anyway, the next card that's been spoiled in this is Ordeal of Perforos, which is an aura. It's an uncommon for a red and a colorless. Enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If it has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, sacrifice Ordeal of Perforos. When you sacrifice Ordeal of Perforos, it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Now, this is reminiscent to me of some of those quests that we saw in Zendikar.
Yeah. Quest of the Pure Flame was the red one.
It just does something the whole time you're using it instead of just sitting there.
Yeah. Building up until it's to the last counter, and then your opponent removes it.
Yeah.
But I think I mean, they're close to the quest, but the quest was like red source, wasn't it?
I think it was like anytime a red source was cast, or it got a counter or something.
Deal damage to an opponent. It got a counter.
Because right when Modern first became a format, there was that deck that used it.
Yeah.
That Valakut deck, I think.
Yeah,
had
Quest of the Goblin Lord. I think that's the card you're thinking of.
I think Quest was like damage to a player, red source to a player, and then Shrine of Burning Rage was the cast, and then it got a counter, no matter if it was like countered or not.
Yeah.
I played both of them. I was hated a lot.
It wasn't Quest for Pure Flame.
No.
It was a rare.
The red one?
I think there was a red one.
I know they had Gem Blades, which was amazing. That quest was absolutely amazing. Creature got like 5, I think it was 5 or 7 1/1 counters or something like that. It was ridiculous.
It's funny. The first deck I played competitively in Standard, back when I still played Standard, was that mono white Quest for the Holy Relic deck.
Oh,
which
God.
turned it.
Because I could afford it.
Yeah.
And so you play that and you get out the Argentum armor
and wreck the game.
That was one of those decks where the second you started playing it, you could feel your opponent's eyes roll through the other side of the computer.
Yeah.
But
the only time I've ever played against that, there was one guy at my local store that played it, and he always cheated. So I always got beat by it, and I was like, man, that's the best. I was very new. I was like, that is the best freaking deck out there. And everybody was like, you're stupid. Like you haven't played for very long. You don't know what a good deck is. And I was like, but that deck wins every time. And then they found out that I was talking about that specific guy, and they're like, yeah, he cheats all the time. He has cards in his lap. And I was like, holy crap! That makes so much sense. So I caught him the next time I played him, and he got really mad and like ran out of the store. But that's my only interaction with that deck.
Yeah.
Well, I played it legitimately because MTGO kind of forced you to, and it was one of those like, oh shit, I won type of deck.
Oh darn, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Then we got 2 more. We got Satyr Hedonist, another common. 1 colorless, 1 green. Pay a red, sacrifice Satyr Hedonist to add 3 colorless, 3 red mana to your mana pool, and it's a 2/1 creature. So if that one is interesting. I'm not sure where it's going to come in, but it's interesting.
Do you think it's got any sort of legitimacy in Standard Pauper?
Probably.
I really doubt it in Classic, unless something's. I don't think in anything existing necessarily. I think maybe if someone wanted to try something new, it's worth bringing up. because I mean a 2/1 for 2. Okay, one of the things you kind of make a concession to when you're playing Pauper is the fact that toughness is kind of non-existent.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. And then the other one, which I really like, Destructive Revelry. 1 green, one red, 1 green, which is a gold card. There's going to be lots. It looks like there's going to be gold cards in this set. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Destructive Revelry deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. I actually like this card, but that's because I'm an EDH player, and it's just another artifact enchantment destruction spell. Because if anyone's familiar with EDH, artifacts and enchantments are some of the most annoying cards in the format.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, if you scroll down here, this is kind of interesting from a limited and even a standard perspective. Beast Within's coming back.
Yeah.
Some sexy art.
Yeah.
Yeah. That so and the artwork for
is this confirmed to be in the set, or is it just new art? I haven't heard that it's going to be in the set, but I really want it to be.
Yeah, it might just be new art, but they did a lot of new art on a bunch of these cards. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I really like Beast Within, and it's a really good answer to Planeswalkers.
Especially the Sun Titan. The artwork on the Sun Titan is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that's nice about Beast Within getting a reprint is maybe it'll drop the prices down a little bit in Modern, too, because I think that's like a $3... Last time I checked, it was like a $3 or $4 uncommon.
Well, it's good. It destroys a permanent.
Yeah.
It gives them a 3/3 Beast token that's easily dealt with.
I mean, it was 3 or 4 in Standard, too. It was turn 1 birds, turn 2 Beasts within your only land. That happened a lot.
Yeah. I'm not saying it was bad, Nate. It's not like, why is Massive Ghouls a $30 card? No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, cool new stuff coming.
The token doesn't look very beastie. It looks like a porcupine.
Porcupine Within?
Porcupine dinosaur.
See, I kind of get... That's what Sonic the Hedgehog would look like in the real world.
If he took steroids. If he went all Armstrong on us.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I would definitely play Sonic again.
Look, you can see the deflated dude he burst out of in the background there. like an exploded balloon. That's pretty cool.
That's funny.
So, last piece of news that I have is the article you should be reading. That's up on MTGO Strat. Close out some of these links here. This is ridiculous. These are articles by a MTGO player who goes by the name of eHustle. And there's a 2-part article series. It's called You're Doing It Wrong, Common Deck Building Mistakes. And first of all, these are long and in a good way.
Yeah.
Because they're very, very, very intensive. And he just kind of goes into basically all of it. And I mean, I don't see it as something that's kind of like discouraging you from brewing, but it's kind of the stuff to keep in mind. Oftentimes when you see a card, you think, oh, I'm going to brew something around that. You kind of get into the frame of mind that, everything's rosy and you just kind of have the best case scenario mentality going through your head. And what this article really kind of does is just breaks down some of the things that you kind of have to keep in mind that you don't often think of. A lot of times when you're new to Pauper, one of the first things you try to do is build like a 3-color deck, or you try and build Jund or something of that nature. And then you find out the hard way why 3-color is pretty uncommon in Pauper. So a lot of that's outlined in the first part, and then in the second part, he goes into fine-tuning and looking at your sideboard and that type of thing. And I'm just kind of glossing over it really quickly, but there is a ton of material here that's definitely worth the read.
Yeah, I started it today and read like 2 paragraphs in, and I was like, I looked at the scroll bar on the side, and I was like, crap. Like, I need to, do some other productive stuff. It's on my read later tab on my feeder, so I'm going to get to it later. So that was kind of cool that it was in the show notes, but whew,
yeah,
it's quite diligent, even in the first couple paragraphs.
And one of the things that's nice that I found with a lot of the people on MTGOstrat.com, and I'm not just pimping it because we're posted there, but, heck, we're posted there, so why not pimp it?
Why not?
Yeah.
But, I mean, one of the things that you need to look out for, and one of the things I've noticed a lot with the MTGO Strat writers, at least in my experience, is that they know what they're talking about. It's really easy to pretend you know what you're talking about and just kind of talk out of your butt. But, for instance, an article like this, it's obvious that there was thought that went into it. And it's obvious that there's research that has to go into it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're definitely going to have to sit down with a laptop or print it out or do whatever it is you do and kind of dig into it. But there's a lot to be gleaned from it, so I wanted to make mention of him.
Yeah, and I've started reading E Hustle's stuff. A lot of his stuff is really good. He's a really good writer, and you can tell that he knows a lot about it. So
yeah, so
it's a lot of card tagging too, linking.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I did like a 1,600 word article, and that about killed myself after I got through with it. Just there's so much tagging, but I couldn't imagine doing this. I'm intimidated by just scrolling it.
Yeah, one of the hard things about trying to write, because I tried to do an article and failed miserably, and I think one of the things is, at least for me, is when you know this stuff inherently, or when you've played long enough that you know it through experience, a lot of times it's really tough to kind of condense that down and try and explain it to people who might not get it. It's just like, I don't know how to say this properly, so whenever someone is able to do that, I really appreciate it, and I'm in some ways envious of their ability to do so.
Yeah.
Because I can talk into a microphone.
Yeah.
That's about what I do.
I mean, I have trouble with both, but I'm still trying to write. I'm just like, I keep being told, like, Prozac and Wesco were both telling me, they're just like, just keep writing, you'll eventually get better. And I'm like, man, I hope you're right. But,
yeah, that's creative writing 101 is you got to do it.
Yeah.
And you got to get all the garbage out of your head, and then you start to develop a style from that. But it's getting all the garbage out of your head that's difficult and painful.
Yeah, I remember when as a kid I used to write stories all the time. I had a notebook full of them.
Yeah,
But
my mom still has mine somewhere.
What happened to your notebook, Nate?
I have no clue where it went. There's
Your hopes and dreams.
There was a story that I wrote in high school I still have that I eventually want to mess around with and do. But I start trying to, like, I'm going to sit down and do it. But then I'm like, I want to go do this instead. So I don't get
It's
that
probably
far.
in your white wiener box.
No, it's not in there.
You already checked.
Yep.
Buried with all the other stuff you didn't want to deal with. No, it's like, I mean, like, everyone who's listening to the show knows, it's like I wrote a novel, and now it's just the editing process that's just like, come on, I need to finish this. I'm 2/3 of the way through editing it, and I don't know, there's almost like that fear of success in some ways. Yeah, I don't mean like financial success or critical acclaim, but just the fear of knowing that you accomplished it in some ways is kind of, it's a weird thing, but it exists.
Yeah.
So, but for the first topic, we figured we were going to bring back something that we haven't done in a long time, and that's because Houston himself has a Pauper Cube.
Hey-yo.
So you want to talk about it a little bit?
Sure. I've listened to the cast some. I tried to, when I started my own cast, tried to support the casting community and kind of connect and learn and all that stuff. And so I had played Pauper a little bit casually with some people at the store, and I was kind of interested in it. So, of course, I tuned into the show, and eventually one of the episodes y'all mentioned the cube, and I was like, man, that's right down my budget. You know, like, I got $20, I can make a cube, you know?
Yep.
And everybody around me was making the powered or the crazy, $1,000 cubes or whatever. And I was like, no one's got a Pauper cube around here. I'm going to make that because it sounds a lot more fun than the power. And, if they're not foil or anything, then, it's not a lot of money I'm carrying around with me. So I'm not paranoid about bringing it in public. There's a lot of little extra things that kind of tag along with it. So I was like, I want to do this. So I went out and I tweeted it, I think Chris, and he sent me the link, and I was like, all right, I want to start there. Here, this is my skeleton. So I went with that. I got it together. I played it with some friends. Everyone, of course, enjoys it. And, I was like, all right, I'm going to foil this thing out. So I've got it up to 80% foil right now. And I have 30 of each unhinged basic for the land base.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh, that's more than the $20
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
almost $20.
One
Holy
color
crap.
of the land base is worth more than the whole cube. So I thought that was like some really good balance to where
Oh, heck yeah, if you're going to do it, do it right.
the basics. I just wanted the basics to be more than the cube, but
Yeah.
I still have to make about 20 or 30 of them because some of them don't come in foil, and I'm not paying $100 for a freaking foil brainstorm because it's just stupid. I'd rather just make one with the dual art. So there's little things like that I have to round out, and there's some bits and pieces that I have to find because I don't. I may end up just buying the last bits of them, if I get the chance. But it's a blast. We've only had 2 8-mans so far. A lot of times we did like Winchesters or Grid, and like 2v2 type stuff. We had 4 people, or sometimes we do a 6-person draft, and or cube or whatever it's called. And everyone's really had a blast with it, and to the point where there's some people will come in Friday. We standard signups, draft signups, and they'll come up to me and ask me if I have the Pauper cube. To the point where they would rather play the Pauper cube, not because they like have or don't have money. It was just like I really enjoyed that. That was a lot more fun than playing dull standard or a core set draft. So I have to bring it in the car every time I go to the shop now, which is good. So
Cool.
It's definitely probably one of the best investments in Magic that I've made, besides maybe lands, because lands are always a good investment. But that's kind of in grouped with this, since I got all those unhinged. I got a good package deal from a friend, and I'm pimping it out as much as it can be pimped.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
It's worth it.
I'm just glad to see someone else using the list that I made. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
and ours was based. We had one that we were trying to work on based off of Adam Staborski's Pauper Cube. And I don't know, I can't remember how much of yours was based off of that.
I based the whole thing off of it back when I was just a listener. And over time I started making my own changes, which eventually got to my version of which completely after a while was transformed into my version of it, my own version of the cube.
Yeah. So. And that's the biggest piece of advice, I think, for anyone who is interested in building a cube is, for your first one, find someone else's.
Yeah, just find someone else's and go from there, because...
Yeah, figure out the why and the reason behind why they put in what they did. Because I tried to do one from scratch, and it's a nightmare. It really is, with no experience. And then I tried to do Staborski's cube, and I realized that I wouldn't be a good keeper of the cube, and Nate said he had done one, so that solved that problem.
Yeah. Did you end up putting the Eldrazi in your cube, the 8/8 Annihilator?
I did not.
Okay, I was curious how your group dealt with it, because my group, because I've had people ask me why isn't that Annihilator in there, Ulamog's Crusher. I took Ulamog's Crusher out because people in my group would end up not using it. They would draft it just so nobody else could use it.
Oh, I don't think everyone's experienced enough to do that yet, because I still get past like Sprout Swarms and like Rolling Templars and Capsize and stuff like that. I'm just like, bro, it doesn't even matter if you're in this color or not. You have to take this.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough fixing in the cube. I've even added some. I had the bounces or something. I've added more duels. I was like, you can play anything. Almost everyone can play like 3 or 4 or 5 colors, and we can still have a decent time. It's going to be a little clunky, but I find myself drafting a lot of blue-green, lots of blue-green.
It's a pretty strong color.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's the only format I've ever went blue-green more than any other, but it's really easy to. I like all the value in blue.
Yeah,
and a lot of the pump and the ramp that you get in green. I mean, it's a pretty good combination. When you're dealing with one-ofs, it's easy to see why that's a good color combination.
And
the one time I played it,
the Namek wall, whatever it's called, that gets back stuff from the graveyard, and then Dreamstalker and Capsize and the Merfolk that levels up goes into an Island Walker.
Yeah, him.
Oh yeah.
She's great, and then you can fix your mana if you splash a color with like the 2-drop guy that grabs a gate in green, and you've got your ramp and your Tribe Elder. I just got my foil Tribe Elder, and I just got my foil F&M promo Mold Drifter.
That's cool.
You are going all out. That's awesome.
So it's kind of cool that some of my favorite foils are also in those colors. But there's like, if I ever see a Mold Drifter, I'm like, I have to take it. Like, I will not pass it. It could be mid pack 3, and I'm in freaking Jund, and I'll take a Mold Drifter. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Card's so good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's in my cube, in my version, in my cube, it's kind of funny because when we go through changes, like just because of Peter, everyone, like the people that are, it's like me, Peter, Brandon, and Patrick or whatever, my other friend Patrick, we're the ones that always go through the cube, and like we lay everything out to see how it looks balanced with every color, and because of Peter, it makes everyone hate on Celestia.
That's his jam.
That's his jam. It's like every time we draft the cube, Peter will go for something else, and everyone will grab the Celestia stuff so he can't have it. And it's always the one time that everyone's like, well, the last few times we drafted, Peter hasn't gone those colors, so they leave it. That's the time that Peter goes for Celestia and just wrecks everyone with his deck.
That makes sense to me, though, why, like, when I went to GP Portland, there were a lot of people playing, like, oh, hey, let's get some cube stuff going, and it almost works to your benefit. It's kind of like, just any sort of kitchen table casual stuff you play, where it's like, dude A brings a deck, dude B makes a deck to beat deck A, and then, so it's just like this, one-off power struggle that you have going on. So it'd be kind of cool to see it in, something like a GP or some sort of event, with just a bunch of people who aren't used to playing it but know how to draft and know how to cube, just to kind of see what does come out. Yeah. Because then it's not just constantly trying to one-up the metagame against each other.
Yeah.
Well, in our group, it's always Peter. Everyone hates what Peter drafts. It's like whatever Peter drafts, everybody hates. So it's like you get done drafting, it's like, hey, what colors you draft? What colors you draft? Everyone's talking, and it's like almost Peter can almost like, does anyone want to know what I want, what I draft? Everyone's like, just F you.
So much love.
Every group needs that guy.
Yeah. See, we haven't had that solidified consistency in the groups yet. It's been a lot of different people, so none of that has formed yet. But I'm sure it eventually will. Everyone tries to hate me, but they don't know the cube well enough to know what to hate. So I just kind of like, I've got to the point where I can just kind of gloat at my friends at the end of the draft, and I'm like, man, you passed me this. Like, I got a third to last pick Mold Drifter. Y'all are crazy.
Yeah.
And I can rub that stuff in their face. And then I like talk about how the card's good, and they're like, oh yeah, I guess that is good,
It's like, I don't even care what colors I'm in. You just keep handing me the best ones out of each of them. I'll pick a deck.
Play 4 or 5 colors all the time. I don't care.
Yeah, and then I had the opposite problem when I was back in Minnesota, and I played that powered cube. And it was just like, these are all so good, I don't know what to pick.
Yeah.
Playing with Moxes and Ancestral Recalls, it's like, I don't know, I've never even, these are the mythical cards I've only heard about, and now playing with them, it's like, I don't know which one to choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but with that in mind, we figured, why not do a Crack-a-Pack?
Yes, I haven't done that in a while.
We need to first pick Prophetic Prism all day long. That's my favorite first pick.
Yeah. Well, it goes
all time.
Yeah.
That means I can pick anything I want for the rest of the draft.
Yep.
Or I can justify picking anything I want for the rest of the draft. We'll put it that way.
All right. Yeah.
So Nate, why don't you read off the cards again?
First we got Necrogen Sensor. It is, when it comes into play, it has, I can't even see it that well on my screen.
2 counters.
2 counters, and you can remove a counter to have target player tap and remove a counter to have a player lose 2 life. Rebel Belt Maka, I think most people know what this thing is. It's just the red giant growth. You got Sequiata Lancer, haste flanking creature, a 2/2. Repulse, everyone knows what that does. Blind Zealot, 2/2 Intimidate. When it goes through and deals damage, you can sack it to kill a non-black creature. Via Shaman First Blade is one of the newer cards. A lot of people should know what it does. It's just from the new Gate Crash. Orum's Thunder is an older card. It's destroy target artifact or enchantment. If the kicker was paid, then it deals damage to the owner of the card. Well, I think it's converted mana cost of the enchantment, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Something
Gather.
like that.
We can look him up.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Murder. We all know what murder does. It's pretty obvious. Searing
It clearly
Spear.
bounces a creature.
It clearly bounces a creature.
I thought it was a pump spell.
It bounces a creature with a sword
Sometimes.
through his chest.
If you have the full art version.
I just find it funny how on this Pauper Cube deck sample thing, how it put Murder and Searing Spear right next to each other, because both cards have something going through somebody's chest.
It is nice.
Kind of funny. Searing Sphere, we all know what that does. Nest Invader, the 2-drop 2/2 that brings an Eldrazi spawn token into play.
Mm-hmm.
Deviant Glee from Return to Ravnica. It's a 2/1 with this creature gains trampled until end of turn if you pay 1 red mana. Boros Guildgate, Doomed Traveler, we all know what that does. Thalako Seer, it's a 1/1 shadow creature that when it gets removed from play, you get to draw a card. And Saltari Lancer, which is a shadow 2/2 creature that has first strike when attacking. Which is kind of weird. Which is, when you think about the card, a lot of people go, well, first strike when attacking is irrelevant. But you got to think, when this card came out, Shadow was the big thing. So there was lots of Shadow being played, so the first strike was actually valid.
Yeah.
And there's also, in looking at your cube, there's not an insubstantial amount of Shadow.
No,
Yeah.
it's all the Shadow in here people use for unblockable creatures anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that can really mess up someone's game plan
Yeah.
if you do have that.
And almost all of them are 1 toughness.
Yeah.
There's like 2 that aren't, or something like that. So they're, as known in Pauper, it dies to almost everything.
Yeah.
Yep. So historically, we've let the guest go first, so I think that's probably the way we should do it. So Houston, why don't you go ahead and take the first pick? What you think you'd choose here and why?
Okay. Well, I'm going to clearly go with removal first because I always feel like picking up creatures later when I draft. So between Murder and Searing Spear for me, knowing it is Pauper, I'm going to go with Searing Spear because it's probably going to kill everything that Murder kills.
That and you can hit the player with it too if you need to.
Can also very well hit a player. Most things that it can't kill, you've played wrong, or you've waited too late to get its toughness up, or it's not as relevant as it needs to be. Searing Spear is just pretty easy for me. Plus, it is 1 red and a colorless instead of 2 black and a colorless.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fixing in the cube, but as a first pick, I think Searing Spear is a good safe one.
Okay.
Absolutely. Nate, why don't you go ahead and go second?
I'm going to go with Murder because he took Searing Spear from me. Double black, 1, destroy target creature. Pretty self-explanatory. I don't like that creature, get rid of it. So.
Yeah. Well, the 2 that stick out to me are Thalako Seer, because of the reasons we already mentioned. In fact, when I played the Pauper Cube back east, I ended up kind of going with the blue-white Shadow deck to pretty good effect. So that one, I've seen and experienced firsthand how that works. But the other one is Rubble Belt Maka that kind of sticks out to me. And I know that historically I've been the one that's like, why the hell would you pick that? But Rubble Belt Maka, I like the versatility of it. Because even if red doesn't go my way, and I end up just splashing red for maybe this and something else, I know that I can always use it as a pump spell if need be to swing through for that much more damage. So there's a little bit of versatility there. But having said all of that, I think I'm still going to end up going with the Thalako Seer, simply because of the shadow effect on it and the fact that I can just swing through with that much damage. And then I'm just going to try and go hard into blue, blue splash something else.
Yeah.
Maybe white if I see more of the shadow creatures going around. but that's going to be my pick.
You'd be hoping for a ninja too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That capsize that you get past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much
You
mana.
draw
Got to
card?
pass that.
Now, what I wanted to ask you guys is, in the context of the cube, what do you think of Necrogen's Censor?
It's something that was Peter's idea to add that card originally, I thought. Because we needed something in the artifact slot, something more useful in the artifact slot that was universal. And Necrogen Censor is kind of a universal card. It comes with charge counters and just kind of helps you get there because you can like play the unblockable deck and just keep hammering on them little bit by little bit, and then you get them down to that final 2 life, or use it right away to help get there. Either you can help get there or get them down to that final 2 life off of unblockable creatures or burn, and just kind of remove that last charge counter just to kill them once they get down to 2.
You can play that red burn deck or the Madcap Skills Deviant Glee type deck, and then when they blow out all your creatures, you can try to finish with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swing if
And
you
the other
can,
thing-
if not, take 2 life.
Yeah.
Yep. And it also has the advantage of being colorless, and it seems like something that would probably wheel. So if you picked it up, 10th or 11th pick, and there was nothing else, I mean, I would more than happily scoop that up out of a dwindling pack. And whether or not I used it, I feel like it would be a pretty solid choice.
I guess I've actually used this card drafting it once, and I actually ended up getting a lot of creatures that, when it comes into play, you have to bounce a permanent back to your hand. So I was like Necrogen censoring my opponents to death with this card. I like use all the token, play it, just pull off like a straight arrows combo with it, and just play it, make them lose 2 life, and then when it was out, I would just bounce, like just play some creature, bounce a permanent, bring it back, and replay it with more charge counters, and just keep doing that over and over again, which got one of my opponents really ticked off, and it was one of my friends, so it's not like a big deal. But he goes, you know what? I really want to punch you in the face right now. After
That's good. That means your deck's good.
yeah.
Yeah. Or you're playing Bantments.
The other thing I would ask too, Nate, how much proliferates in the deck?
Not much. We
much,
actually
okay.
took the last of it out because it wasn't valid.
Makes
So.
sense.
Yeah.
One of the first things I wanted to try to do after I have it all foiled out or whatever is to add more bounce in to see if there could add enough without screwing up the cube to where there could be a bounce deck, like Fairy Intruders type, Deputy of Acquittals type come into play-ish. I mean, there's a lot of good come into play effects. There is some bounce already, but some with the goblin that bounces a creature. Or whatnot, there's a lot of really cool effects, but I might just clunk it up. So that's why I'm gonna play with it a lot more and then see if it's worth adding, because Dreamstalker's pretty good.
So
Yes.
in the cube and in this list, it's pretty balanced. It's like, what do we got for colors? We got 55 white cards, 54 blue cards, 54 red cards, 54 green, 54 black, 44 gold cards, and then 45 colors. So, I mean, it's... Granted, white...
It's about as balanced as you're going to get.
Yeah, granted, white has 1 extra card compared to everything else, but white needs it.
Yeah.
Because it lacks everything
Bullshit,
else.
white needs... I'm just kidding.
White needs it because it lacks... It has a great defense, but lacks a lot of offense.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah.
Awesome.
That's the cube.
Yeah.
Well,
It looks
sorry.
very familiar.
Get hyped.
Get hyped. I kind of wanted to bring this. I know this isn't in the show notes, but I just wanted to mention it really quickly. Making this cube has also motivated me to bring Pauper to my local community, and it's something that you guys have talked about. And if anyone follows me on Twitter, or you guys talked with me enough, I'm very community oriented. That's in my mind. That's has a lot to do with my major and what I'm going to school for. So I was like, all right, you guys have a huge interest in Modern, or enough people are intrigued. I'm going to build a gauntlet. So I've been picking up pieces for, the somewhat popular decks, and I'm going to try to build at least 8 Pauper decks and sleeve them up, and I'll have that in a 1,000 count box or whatnot, or if it all fits. And I'll have that with me with the cube, and I can actually bring this and say, hey, let's all roll a die, 1 through 8, and you get to pick you get a random deck, and $5 everybody put $5 in the pot, and we'll get a sanctioned tournament or whatever.
Yeah.
Through the store, because owners down with that. So, it would be a random, or we can just play for fun. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a sanctioned tournament. But there was a lot of people that showed a lot of interest, so I'm starting to build that too. So,
as you're building your community, another thing you can do is like I've said this in the past because I am a coordinator. I was a coordinator. Once we get in your store, I'll probably get that title back again. You just got to bring up to your local coordinator who plans everything, store owner, whatever. Say, hey, I got a group of people, we want to do Pauper, and they're more than willing. If you can get 8 people to show up for an event, they're more than willing to do it usually, and they'll even throw some pretty cool prize support in.
Well, I'm getting that position of coordinator, so
cool. Well, congrats. It's a lot of fun. You'll have a lot of fun with that being a coordinator. I enjoy it. I kind of miss it now because you get to meet so many different people.
Yeah, I have to learn a lot of games.
Yeah, you do. But be ready to get bombed. Be ready to, after you establish that, your coordinator stuff, and you have I would always recommend you get, a separate email address because you're going to get bombed with email. I remember back when I was in the process of planning events and all that and scheduling my other coordinators. I had a bunch under me, so I wouldn't have to be at all the events. And, I ended up, it was literally a half-hour to 45-minute routine to go and check the email and answer everybody. And then you go I went into the store I worked at, the dugout, and it's I'd be there just as a player looking for cards. And sometimes I would literally have to wait until, a half hour before the store closes or when I know it's dead, because there's no way if I walked in the middle of the day with Magic players there that I'd actually get to what I was trying to do, because it's the coordinator's here. We're going to ask a million freaking questions.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
I got hired on as the other Magic guy.
Yeah.
And so I'm there just sitting, doing whatever. They're like, oh, someone wants to trade in a collection. Will you go through it and give me a price? And I'm like, oh, my gosh. So I'm sitting down looking at this binder, and I'm like, give him this much. He's like, oh, well, he wants cash. And I was like, all right, we'll take, 20% off of it.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes." I'm not getting paid for this. Just do that, or tell him to go away.
I remember having to do one of those in the middle of a pre-release with about 60 people there.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
I had to work my first pre-release, my midnight, and I worked the evening when he let me skip the noon one. But it was fun. But I didn't know I was getting promoted to judge. Because I'm not even a rules advisor.
Level 0.5 judge.
Yeah. Probably 90% of everyone that's in the store has played more Magic or has played longer than me. That doesn't mean that everyone knows more rules or whatever, but I'm a player, just because I got hired onto the store doesn't mean I instantly know all the rules. Yeah. So anytime I'm in the store and there's a judge question, I have to get pulled over. And I'm like, bro, I'm not one. And and my store owner's like, you need to get your license or whatever it's called, your judge.
The easiest way to get out of that, if you don't want to do it, is just talk nonsense and be like, well, see, I'm not exactly sure. I see where you tapped the teardrop for the water mana. And I don't know. That means you get one of them, right? And then they'll be like, just go away. Okay.
Well, then it doesn't get resolved. That's what happens.
I think
you don't call a judge when I'm there, but you call a judge when I'm there. You have to deal with it each other if I'm not there. I go on Gather a lot.
Yeah. I know. Get Familiar. Download Familiar on your phone. It's an awesome app that you can get on Android. It literally has.
Write that down right now.
Yes, it's an app you can put on your phone. It's called MTG Familiar. They have you can search up cards. You can do everything. You could even if you're doing trading, you can even balance the trade out. You can put cards in, and it'll give a price, and then you can put the cards you want, and it'll actually tally everything as you go.
Oh,
but it has
I don't do that. Then I'll lose money.
Yeah.
The other thing, getting back to the prize support thing that we've talked about before, Nate's store does it, is if cash is something that you're not comfortable doing, play sets of like the staples.
Yeah.
I mean, like a play set, you can get capsize for 99 cents a card. So like your first place gets a play set of capsize for $4 or $5. That type of stuff where it's more about the bragging rights of winning, but you kind of get some neat stuff out of it. Go as far as him to Torox or that type of thing. Those are always really cool. When I was back there, even people who had the play sets of stuff, getting another play set of it, it was kind of like the trophy.
Yeah.
You don't get your promo for winning game day, but you get your winning play set of stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, I just created a point system for our store. Basically, I won't go into the whole spiel. I'm getting ready to write an article about it, if I can just reference it. But
sure.
Basically, you earn points, and there's people that play on Saturdays and people that play on Fridays, and we're keeping them separate. But basically, if you win a tournament that launches in the evening, you get points. And at the end of the month, if you're the highest points winner of the month, you get a gold nameplate that goes on the table, and it has your name and the month that you won. And then
that's cool.
The next month, everyone that you play has to come to your table and play you.
That's cool.
So there's a Friday winner and a Saturday winner, and you get it for a month. And then when it's done, those go up on a plaque, and the new winners go down. And then at the end, everyone that plaqued through the whole year gets to play in one big tournament, free entry. Winner gets free F&M for a year.
Wow.
Man.
And then the winner, the first and second place of all tournaments through each quarter of the year will qualify you for a win-a-box tournament. So if you can only qualify once. So if you win first this week and then next week you win first, then it drops down to second and third. So you get two people qualified each week. It's not always first and second. So you can't like qualify again and take someone out or whatever.
Sure.
It keeps the numbers exactly the same. Yeah, exactly.
That keeps people in the tournament.
And then that'll be a box or whatnot. So we're kind of doing that because we're also giving out points for like if you it's 3 for a win, 1 for a draw, 0 for a loss, and if you play the whole tournament, if you play all your rounds, you get a participation point.
That's
so we're trying to create motivation and store loyalty, which is something that's really not very solid around here. So
I like the having to play against the winner too. Kind of you get some gunslinging experience into. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think it's good motivation that doesn't run the store into the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what do you think about free F&M for a year? Is that too much? And he's like, nah, we can do that. That's fine.
Well, how much you charge for your F&Ms?
$5.
Oh, no, he's not losing out on anything.
Yeah, and another thing we're doing for the people that are playing a lot and not doing well, or very casual players, we still wanted to reward them too. So with every 100 lifetime points, because they reset at the end of every month for the monthly winner, but you get like a running total, and every $100 or every 100 points that you get, you can cash in for a free F&M.
That's awesome.
Or a $10 draft.
So kind of you started your own play rewards program.
More or less, trying to.
Which Wizards never should have got rid of because that was a great program.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it's going. I think a lot of people are enjoying it. I'm bringing a lot of people from another store over, but
that's cool.
I'm really excited about it. And
cool.
And the cool thing about what you're doing is it usually only takes like one person to say, hey, we got to organize, we got to get together, we got to get this, we got to build our player community and our player base. You'd be surprised after you build that player base how easy it is for everyone to get the cards they're looking for.
Exactly.
They won't have to go on eBay or the internet that often because they know there's someone locally they can get it from.
Yes.
So that's a huge plus.
Hopefully that will develop more. Many of the players around here want a certain card. They'll sit down with you, say I have a Xanthrid Necromancer, which this happened last week. I had a foil one, and this guy's like, I really want this. And I'm like, all right, cool. It was $10-ish, I don't remember. So I picked out this card. I was like, this is 15. Can you find something else and we'll even it out? He was like, no, I just want that card. And I was like, come on, man, like, just find the balance, it'll come around and we'll trade again, and, it'll go the other way. It just always does. It always evens out. He's like, no, if you can just find something for that exact amount, then we can do that. And I was like, I'm not picking up like 5 brainstorms off you. Like, that's dumb. But that's the example of a lot of the traders. They want, these X3 cards, X, Y, and Z, and if you don't have them, they don't want to trade with you. If you do, they only want you to get that exact value. So hopefully if we can consistently keep people coming, and
get some more experience with how the trading process works,
get people a little bit closer, talking a little bit more, it'll develop.
Yeah, it does, because once they get to know each other, you end up being able to having trading not be a big deal. Because I know in my group, I have a group that meets for EDH, and I know all of them very well. Like, we don't even really look at value anymore. We're like, are you happy with everything you got? Yeah. Are you happy with what you got? Yeah. Good. We got to trade. Most of the time, we're not even really looking at like card price. It's like, are you happy with what you got? Yeah. Okay, we're good then. or like my one buddy, I have a few of my buddies, like Peter's one of them. Peter and Brandon, they'll like go through my trade book and find something they want, but they don't have their trade with. And I'm like, take it, we'll figure it out later. Yeah. And then next time we meet, they have their stuff, and I find something, and we're good.
I have a notepad document on my phone where I just keep all the IOs and O's me.
Yeah.
And I just keep all that in my phone, and a lot of times my friends forget, and I even do too, and I'll just reference that. Like there was a guy, we were like he was nickel and diming me forever, but we were 250 off, and I was like, man, I work here. I come here 4 times a week, man. You'll see me again. I'll owe you $250, man. I'll put it in my phone.
Yeah.
If you want to ask around and see if I'm good for it, that's cool. And so most people will do that, and the store owner does the same thing if people need cards, because he has like 100 and something extra dual lands.
That's cool.
He doesn't need. So
just Todd passes him out like candy.
Everyone's in debt to him.
Yeah.
If he ever needs a card and you have it, like he gets it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, speaking of stores, St. Cloud has a new card shop opening. It's not the place I work for, but it's a friend of mine. He's commonly known on MTGO as Sneak Attack Kid. Okay. He has I've talked about him before. His name's James Belts. He has won a state championship twice in Minnesota. He's opening a store right here in Waite Park, St. Cloud area, and it's going to be called Sneak Attacks Games.
Cool.
So I've already been talking to him a little bit, and he is interested in getting Pauper going. And his Pauper prize support he wants to go with is he wants to give away Shocklands to first place for Pauper events.
Nice.
So he has, and he wants to get an EDH league started, which basically the only reason why he asked me about it is because he knew I had already started an EDH league, and I was very unhappy with when the Dugout went out of business. Another store picked it up and just kind of took it as their own, and he knew I wasn't happy about that, so he respectfully asked me if my insight on it, if I was okay with him, taking it and tweaking it, and I'm like, go right on ahead and do it. So
let's move on to Heroes of the Web.
Yeah.
God, this one's terrible. Heroes of the Web is the segment of our show where we take a look at some of the more interesting characters that inhabit the internet. Doesn't have to be Magic the Gathering related, but we try and make it that way. And this one is almost too much internet for one forum, but somehow they managed to make it fit. And this is called, if there was an MTG Anime, what type of deck would the main character run? So the only thing that's missing from this one is My Little Ponies.
Yeah, pretty much.
So forum post opens with, I'm thinking it'd definitely have white, maybe even mono white. White weenie comes to mind. Definitely no black, though. So, proof positive that people think too much about this stuff. This guy says, it all depends on the demographic of the intended audience. If it was more aimed at kids, probably white and or green. If it was aimed at teenagers, blue or red. College age, red or black. So we got 2 posts in before people started getting shit. So First of all, this isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! If Wizards was going to do an MTG-based anime, it wouldn't be based around this type of philosophy. It would be more like setting up the video for the original Ravnica, follow a few different characters, in this case planeswalkers, and have them use the mana of the planes there on to cast spells and so forth, like they did in the old paperback Magic books. It would probably be something similar to the comic that IDW is now doing, following a planeswalker that was made from scratch. Easy there, dude.
Yeah.
So,
internet rage.
Yeah, and then
I like this one. I like
2 or 3
this
down.
One.
Go ahead.
He'd play Spanish Inquisition because no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. I like that.
But I just like this guy chiming in right here where he goes, "The Yu-Gi-Oh anime isn't bad."
Oh,
thanks, dude.
You just set yourself up.
Wow. This is why I avoid a lot of forums.
It's so terrible. I can see it now. The storyline for season 1 would start with a white planeswalker who duels but then makes friends with a green planeswalker. The two would find out some evil powers terrorizing whatever plane they're on. They would have to take down some blue, red, and black planeswalkers. Then when they think they've won, bam! Nicol Bolas shows up with the combined abilities of those 3, and the good guys have to take him down together.
Yeah, they have to get their Megazords out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then when they fight Nicol Bolas, he's pretty much a badass. And when the good guys team up on him to win, they get crew ultimatumed, but still get there eventually with teamwork and luck.
And then they all find out that Jace the Mind Sculptor was behind everything.
See, this is dangerously close to that Jace fanfiction I read back then. Yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh anime isn't bad. Everything Yu-Gi-Oh is bad.
No, the abridged is good.
Obviously, it would be something like High Tide or Eggs. They could fill an entire episode with just cards cast before even adding anything like a plot.
Lots of boobs, whatever it be.
Of course.
Yeah.
Some of that internal witness.
Yeah.
He would play Miracles. If I know anything from watching Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon when I was a kid, translation today, it's just that people that watch that stuff are extremely dumb. You have to find the main character tap into his own heart of the cards, rip infinite miracles to just barely win every match on the show, and people would still be like, ZOMG, and treat for the win. How does he do it?
Here's a good one. Obviously, the anime would be about a regular in parentheses high school kid who finds his planeswalker spark has awakened. They'll travel across the plains and pick up a harem of 5 girls, one of each color of mana. Red with Tissandir, whatever. Blue will be a mad scientist. Green will be a childhood friend, and white will be a student council president. Black will be a gold digger. Wacky hijinks will ensue, and most of its run, and then the ending will be a lackluster. A movie will be released, but it will be super dark and depressing.
Picking up chicks. It's like Castle Crashers. Just get one at a time. Put them over your shoulder, give them a kiss, and carry on.
Yeah.
I like this. What do you have against animes? If you had bad experience with a handful of animes aired in North America, then don't make that kind of comment, please. Says dude with furry as his avatar.
Oh, gosh.
It's just a game, people.
Oh, that's enough. I can't handle it anymore. Okay.
It's got a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah.
I like the guy that posted, I think it's funny that all the Shocklands sound like women's parts.
Oh, that old one, yeah.
Oh, that old one, I guess, but that's the last one I've read. I was like, that's genius.
What I mean by that one is I thought about it and then realized that, no, I probably can't do this for Heroes of the Web. Jace fanfiction probably lost half of our fan base.
Yeah. I was wrong.
I have to tread carefully. My fan base is way different.
Yeah.
There's like, you didn't say F enough that episode. I'm like, all right, my bad.
You should swear more.
I'll have to think about it next time.
Nice.
You could get worse than the
Just one big, like, you don't even have show notes. You just have a text document open on your screen that says, say fuck more.
Yeah. Well, the last episode we were talking about, I was like, maybe I just need to copy it and add as we go. Like oh, here's a good pause. We'll just put one right there. Just fill in all the blanks. Just take out.
I would listen to that.
Take out every and put right there. Be a great show. No one would care about Magic anymore.
Oh my God,
that is
disturbing.
What?
They do. They do with. Oh, the dual lands do have that.
Yep. So anyway,
did you read them all now?
Yeah, I went on Star City and looked them up.
We're gonna leave it at that.
Oh.
Comments, emails, and feedback. Actually, this is going to be a pretty short session because Skype ate last week's episode, so we don't have any comments, emails, or feedback about it, except for quite a few people who said, damn you, Skype, and I agree. So, does anyone have anything final to add before we end the show for the week?
Nothing much besides Chris Weaver get a hold of us as soon as possible. I mean it.
Starting to freak out.
I mean it.
Houston, why don't you pimp your show, tell people how they can contact you, all that good stuff.
All right. Well, I host Tap Sac. It's on MTG Cast. That's the consistent place it's going to go. Follow me on Twitter at TNS Ginger Ale. My website's tnsgingerale.com. My second article for Mana Deprived just went up called Fans Voice. There's one and two. It's very community-based oriented articles discussing mechanics and things that are not necessarily wrong with the community, but I want to bring up subjects and have intelligent conversations about them, or productive conversations about them, as in like how things are designed or how people act or how to build your store and stuff like that. I'm just trying it out, and KYT's giving me a shot at it, so it's got enough reception to be good. So I'm really excited about joining Mana Deprived, and I'd love to talk with you. You can hit me up on Twitter's probably the best. Not really look at the emails all that often, and we got Facebook page just for the show. But I love to talk to any of you. I've always been a good fan of this show, good friend and fan, and I enjoy being on, guys. Appreciate it. Sorry for all the F-bombs.
It's okay.
I censored myself as much as possible.
You did nobly. You did much better than some people we had. You did better than one person we had as a host for 50 episodes. No, yeah, it's a pleasure. And, the same offer I extend to anyone who's been a guest is, anytime you're welcome to come back on.
Yeah, you are. Anytime.
So, paupertothepeople@gmail.com, facebook.com/paupertothepeople, paupertothepeople.proboards.com. You can find Nate and I on Twitter. Yep. I'm at CM Plummer. Nate's at Nathan Yonkin. You can find us on MTGO as well. I'm GrayCatRecords. Nate is nyukon, and Peter is Midnight03. And I think that's it.
Yep.
I think that's it. If anyone, I'll just pimp it one more time just because I can. If anyone wants to listen to my new show, let me know what you think of it, especially the people who have been listening to this show for a long time. I'm not trying to steal you away, but, I value the listener's opinion. So, if you had, any comments or constructive criticism or just general opinions about the new show, I would appreciate it. So there's a chance for Matt and I to get back together and start doing some stuff again.
I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Without him having to stress out as much as he did about Magic the Gathering, because he is very analytical, and he was putting in 50 hours a week. He was making Pauper to the People his second full-time job, and I was like, dude, that's not the point. So this is a lot more casual, a lot more laid back. So,
can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, kind of two. We are at Tap Sac. We're looking for another co-host, a permanent co-host. Looking for someone that's, I guess, talkative like myself. My co-host is a little quieter and kind of like to chime in a lot, and I have to carry a lot of the show, and sometimes I don't get to drink all of my beer. So I'd like to have someone I can bounce and hand off topics to. So if you're interested in that, hit me up or interact with me. There's not like an interview process or anything, but that's on the table. And if anyone's starting a Soul Forge podcast, hit me up. I don't want to run it, but I want to be on it because that game is fun. So, I guess
is that out yet?
Things. Yeah, it's out. Free download. Go for it.
Yeah, it's in beta, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can access everything for free right now while they're in beta.
Yeah, you can get like 4 or 5 packs a day. You can earn like 4 or 5 packs a day.
Nice.
Of cards to open. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
Feeds that cardboard crack itch that you have.
Yeah, but there's no cardboard. It's crazy. Yeah, I even tweeted at him. I was like, the only thing wrong with your game is there's no new pack smell when you open the packs. I was like, you need to find a way to insert that to shoot out my speakers. Like, that's a problem. And he was like, there's a really good animation that opens, and I was like, not the same. It's just not the same. But we even started talking about it on our cast. It's seeping in on our show because I mean it's fun. It's a card game, and it could be the future of card games. So,
yeah,
awesome.
Chris, I linked a video to you that you should check out.
Okay, I will check it out as soon as we're done.
Okay.
Is that the goal, or do you want me to check it out now?
No, it's just gonna be after the show's over.
Okay, cool.
I want you to bring it up. If it's possible, you should bring it up on the game. You can see what Matt thinks about the game because I think it looks amazing.
Okay, we'll do. One podcast at a time. Let me finish this one, Nate.
You just merge them together. We'll just go into the next one. I know games. We can do this.
Yep. So until next week, my name is Chris.
This is Nate.
Ginger ale.
And this is Pauper to the People.
Mm-hmm. Bet you.
Did it work? Is it recorded?
It worked. It
worked.
recorded.